Welcome back, my power plants, to this week's Top 5. This week's subject, as the video title declares, is my top 5 Pyromancers in video games. Now, there are no particular rules, save for the Pyromancer in question can use other elements, but they must primarily use fire. But without further ado, let's get started with number 5. Number 5 this week is going to be Bowser. Now, I know he's not really the stereotypical Pyromancer. He's not the first thing people will probably think of when they think Pyromancer. However, ever since Bowser's debut, he's been using his fire breath to great effect. And I think that's enough to land him his spot as number 5. Now, let's move on to number 4. Annie from League of Legends. Now, Annie is probably the most stereotypical Pyromancer on this list. Shooting fireballs, fans of flames, all these fiery abilities. But the one caveat is, she's 8 years old. She's a little kid. She also has a big bear. Her playstyle is one that I like, and I've used her quite a bit whenever I do play League, which honestly isn't that often. But every once in a while I feel the need to play a game. But that's number 4, Annie. Now we move on to number 3, Pieron from Kid Icarus Uprising. Now, there had to be some kind of sun god, fire god deity on here someplace. I thought about putting Vulcan on here, the god of fire and forge, but decided I know Pyron a little bit better. And during the Arum arc of Kid Icarus, you get to know his loud, boisterous personality and his complete and utter lack of foresight and planning. And for being the self-proclaimed sun god, he shines bright in my memory. Now we move on to number 2, Flannery, the Hoenn gym leader. Now, I was conflicted when I first started thinking about this list, about all the different fire types, when I realized that I could put Blaziken here, but his fire typing isn't really what makes him my favorite Pokemon. And there were plenty of other contenders for best fire type, so I decided to look at the human characters who wield the fire type instead. And after a little bit of thinking, the obvious conclusion in my mind was Flannery. She's, to my knowledge, the only gym leader who's really new to her position, and her nervousness and growing after she fights you is something that I find very nice. She's probably one of my favorite gym leaders, full stop. So she very much earns her place in my mind on this list. And with that, finally, we come to number 1. I'm sure none of you will be shocked by this number 1. It's Axel of the Organization 13. The flurry of dancing flames certainly earns his name whenever you fight him. He comes at you with a wall of fire, turning the floor to lava. And personally, it's one of my favorite fights in KH2. Just Roxas versus Axel. And in Final Mix, when you get to fight a data version of him, oh yeah, I love that stuff. And his flaming red hair, of course, just everything about Axel I love. His voice actor, his demeanor, the fact that he gets a freaking keyblade, just everything about him I love. And that's this week's list. We have Bowser, Annie, Pyron, Flannery, and Axel. Let me know in the description down below who's your favorite Master of Fire. And if you would be so kind, like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend, ring the little dingly bell so you might get notifications when a new video goes live. And if you would be very kind, get off my lawn, you filthy casuals.